Hey guys, Darren Asbury here, marketing manager to Revital Outdoors. We're going to go ahead and get started with our podcast. We're very, very excited to have you on board watching our podcast today. Today's guests are going to be Kyle Smith, the CEO of the company, and Mr. Shaw Grigsby, Major League Fishing pro, very, very phenomenal angler. Guys, thanks for being on board with us. And let's just go ahead and get started. Shaw, how have you been? How's your off season going?
Well, it's been interesting. I once we had the off season, I was in full gator mode, so gator hunting, and so that was a lot of fun. We had a great season, got 4 big ones, and it's really good. Anything you do outdoors, how awesome is it to spend time with your family and friends and grandkids? So I got to actually help my son get one. I had a good friend, a young man, get one. I had my grandson get one, and I had another great buddy get one. So when you consider that's a great way to spend up to November, and then I have surgery. So I've been bone on both thumbs, and I decided I'd do my dominant hand, and I'm sitting there going, wow. My buddy, we drove down to do an in-store promotion at Brooker Bait and Tackle in Leesburg on Saturday morning, and my buddy said, just think you got to go through this again next year for the other thumb. And I went, no, I don't. This one's bad enough that I said, you know what? I think I might just live with it as long as I can, because it's really a tough surgery, but I'm getting through it. The first 4 weeks were really bad. Week 5 got better. I'm at week 6 right now. This is 6 weeks out, and it's really getting better. I'm thinking that I can pick up a fishing rod here any day, and I won't be at heavy duty like full on tournament mode, but I can go fishing, and that's exciting. So that's pretty much been, man. Once you have surgery and it's your right hand, dominant hand, you can't hardly get your pants on. You can't button shirts. You can't shave. So I'm growing my beard out.
Perfect month for that, though.
Trying to it looks like no shave November kind of carried over into December, but hey, that's okay. So, well, I want to know a little bit more about this gator hunting. Like, how do you go about it? Me being an Oklahoma boy, I don't know anything really about it. I've been in Florida 3 years, and it's very intriguing to me. But where do you start? Like, what's the rod and reel setup that you go with?
I use a regular, it's like a giant swim bait or flip stick. I used to use my flip stick, just a 7.5 foot heavy rod. I take a hook, a treble hook, and it's a Trocar 3/0. They made them for a couple years, and it's really, really stout. So you can catch tuna with it and whatever. So it doesn't bend, and it's extremely sharp. So then I tie on the underneath side, how you got a treble hook, it's got 3 hooks up, and on the bottom side you got a little pocket where they bend out, and I tie a tungsten in there, 1.5 ounces. I take 1.5 ounces tungsten, tie it in with 80-pound braid so it sticks right up underneath it, and that's my setup. So then I cast it on either 65 or 80-pound braid on a rod and reel. So it's it's just like a flip stick, and it's it's only 1.5 ounces, so it's like taking a punching rod and just going at it. And so the one that I got with my grandson was a casting one, where he literally just cast it out, and we saw where he went down. I actually marked him on my Lowrance structure stand. I could see him laying down there on the bottom. I said, this is really cool. And then he cast out and hooked him. But gator hunting in Florida is special. It's not like you see on Swamp People, for them, because we can't put a hook out. Okay. You can cast and snag one, but you can't put a hook out and hook him in the mouth. So what they allow us to do is, first you have to draw. Okay. There's a draw for it, and you put in for the draw. And if you get lucky enough to be drawn, because there's thousands upon thousands of people that want to go gator hunting. So if you get drawn, it's for a specific lake, and then you get to go pursue them for about, 2 months, maybe even a total of, it's pretty much September, October, and then it's over. So about 1.5 months or so, 2 months, you get to go after them. And you get 2 gators with a tag, and you can either bait them, and baiting means you take chicken or fish or something, and you put a little wood dowel in them. You can use a 2-inch wood dowel, can't be bigger, and tie a rope onto it and hook it onto your, fishing rod, and you lay it out there, and the gator comes and eats it. And then then that you can fight him on that, but it's really not good. Once he swallows it, he can't regurgitate it. So you really am using that. What I do is just kind of reel up and know where he is, then pitch my trocar on him, and then the fight's on. So just rod and reel, and you're fighting him, and it's just awesome because they're going all around the boat. Sometimes you get them up, they're biting the boat, but if you get them close, then I harpoon them and then bring them up. Once you get them up, and then you bang stick them, and there's a little spot right in the back of their head that's just a small, probably a quarter size, maybe a 50-cent piece, $50 size, little area to bang stick them.
What happens if you miss that area?
Huh?
Yeah. What happens if you miss?
That area, if you hit him anywhere else, it just doesn't phase him. I mean, it's like,
oh
it doesn't
man.
phase him. In fact, my son, one of the interesting stories, we got this little one, he's about 7 feet or so, and he bang sticks him. And I said, dude, that wasn't a good hit. He says, oh, it'll be fine. He just like, the gator's like they laid out. So I reach over, I close his mouth, and we always tape him. And because it's just being secure. So
Safety,
I taped him, we rolled him in the boat, and so he gets on the cell phone to make a call to one of his buddies going, we're tagged out or whatever. Anyway, and that gator hits me in the leg, like just bam, just slaps me in the leg. I'm like, I look down like, oh my gosh. And he crawls out of the boat. And I said, you better reload your bang stick.
What are you fishing out of?
So, yeah, crazy stuff. But
what
anyway,
boat are you fishing out of? Are you fishing out of a aluminum boat, or you got a bay boat, or?
I do both. So that's what I did with that one that got me there was the aluminum boat. I've actually got a video that's pretty cool of a 10, I think it's a 10.5 footer jumping up in the front of the boat, and I'm sitting there with a bang stick trying to get ready to get him, and he comes up and almost gets my knee, just with his mouth wide open like the Gator chomp from Go Gators, and so it's pretty cool. The guy that was close by just decided to flip on the camera and video it. And then my son was talking to him after we got him in the boat and all that. And he said, man, I got some cool videos, and some of it was really cool. But yeah, so that's what we do. And once we harvest them, we take them down, we process them, and it's fantastic. I started eating gator parm, which is, same as chicken parm, just using gator meat. We've got gator sausage. You can, of course, fry it. You can do so much with it, grind it and make, spaghetti and all the rest. But it's delicious, real lean. So yeah, good stuff.
Good stuff. So
awesome. That sounds like a blast.
It's intense because they're so big, and then they're, just mean teeth. And I can't tell you how many, bite marks I have on my bay boat from it, where they crunch down on it when you get them close. So I try to teach people not to, you're excited when you've got a 10 or 11 foot gator on, and you've got him on a rope and he's just pulling you around. And so, it's one of those things where you have a tendency, I got him. And you don't realize that he's got big old jaws, and that's my boat right there. And next thing I know, I hear crunch, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's my boat. Let him go down a little bit,
Right. Well, you had mentioned it, and I got to bring it up because I know both of you are very big fans, but what happened with the Gator football season this year? Like,
there's no real true explanation. I can say that Dan Mullen, I felt, was a great, and I still believe he's a great coach. He's gonna be fine. I think everybody in life, if you remember, I'm a lifelong resident, 65 years here in Gainesville, Florida. So I've seen a lot of coaches come and go. When Spurrier, who's one of the greatest, college football coaches around, when he got hired, he did not believe it was good to give a scholarship to a kicker. So he wouldn't give a scholarship to a kicker. He learned, after, 5, 6, 7 years, you better do it. When you get beat, when you're playing a tough game and you get beat by a field goal and you could have won with that field goal, you start learning that stuff. So he learned about, more about being a coach and all the rest. And that's what I feel about about Dan is that he is a very good coach, and I think that he will learn from this that being very loyal to your personnel comes in and hurts you. And I think that's part of what it was, is that, he was so loyal to some of the people he brought that he would not get rid of them. And we kind of saw that. I mean, just think of last year. Last year we had Kyle Trask. He was sitting on the bench. So one of the best quarterbacks to play at University of Florida, sitting on the bench, and because he liked this other quarterback. That's who got the job. That's who he was entering along. And until he got hurt, Trask wasn't going to get in. And I think it's the same way with, like his defensive coordinator, who wasn't really good and didn't excel, and we kept going down. And I think the players get that, well, if you don't care, then, what can we do?
Right.
And so anyway, unfortunately he did lose it, but man, I mean, I've been looking at this guy that we have now, and I'm thinking he is the real deal. I mean,
he looks like he's going to be the next Spurrier. In my opinion, Steve Spurrier was the longest, most sustainable coach in Gators football history, that at least that I can remember.
Yes.
I don't think anybody's done it as good as he has for as long a period as he has. Obviously, Urban Meyer was there for a short stint, won 2 national championships. That's great, but nobody's had overall success as long as Steve. I think Billy could be the next Spurrier.
I agree with you. I think so. Billy's coached under, of course, Nick Saban, who's arguably the premier college.
Probably going to win another one this year.
Yeah, exactly. So and he coached under Dabo, and so he's got I mean, when you take 2 of the best coaches out there, and he's kind of mentored under them a little bit, and he's done it his way, and he really took a program there at Louisiana that was really not much there, and builds it up to a 10,
nobody
11.
knew who the Raging Cajuns were 3 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, but now top 25 school 2 years in a row. Yeah, he's got a good program.
Yeah. So yeah, I think he's the real deal. And I've heard from players that at first, you're not going to appreciate this guy, but as it goes along, you're going to go, this is the man. So he's got a number of players that he's coached and worked with that are in the NFL, and they said this guy is the real deal. So I'm kind of excited about him and the possibilities in the future for the Gators. We've got some good players, and I felt bad for the players this year. A lot of fans give them grief. Man, I probably the best rant I ever heard on college football was Nick Saban after he lost to Texas A&M. He reamed the fans and social media. And if you want to look at something, that's one to look it up and listen to it, because it's about. I mean, these guys give it their all. They're working out every day. They are busting their butt. They're doing the best they can do. And if they lose, you can't, just jump on them like this player sucks and this guy sucks and all.
Well, he said that after a win, though. The fans, I think they just weren't as happy that he didn't win by as much as they would have liked.
It was the Arkansas game. Yeah, it was the Arkansas game. They, Alabama ended up winning 42-35. And being a Razorback fan, and I spent a semester at that school, I always follow the Hogs. The last 15 years has been not fun for us. But I remember the interview afterwards, and it's like, well, you were 21-point favorites. You should have blown this team out of the water. You're playing in Alabama. Like, what happened? Well, first of all, Arkansas had a very strong team this year. They've got a great new coach with Sam. I don't really think Alabama ever underestimates an opponent, but it didn't turn out to be a complete blowout. And it's like, what more do you want from – sometimes you got to ask fans, what more do you want? We win national championships. We won this game. Why are you unhappy?
Yeah, that's such a classic, and I agree. I love college sports. I love all the college sports. I'm college football. And Arkansas does have a great coach now. They're going to be a contender for quite a while. But heck, I get excited about college baseball, college basketball, softball, women's softball. Just every bit of it. It's fun because it's about passion. It's about love of the game, not about how much am I getting paid? What, all this type of stuff. It's about, I love this game. And they may be trying to get to the next level, but it's about that love of the sport, not, the money. And so, once you get into professional sports, then a lot of times it's about the money. And I think that's one thing I love about, fishing is that you don't even go into fishing thinking money. You go into fishing because you love the sport. It's a passion.
You love the
sport. I mean, it's one that's it's driven by your love of what you do and being outdoors and all that. So yeah, that's what most professional sports are. It's about the dollar.
I remember when I was fishing in college and I started to get into the FLW tour, Larry Nixon, my first year, so it was 2014. And, being a young guy and wearing a college jersey and all that, he came up to me and asked me who I was and introduced himself. And he asked me what my goals were in fishing. And at the time, my goals really weren't clear. I was just still young, naive, didn't really know, but I was very fortunate to have the opportunity that I did to fish the FLW tour. And he told me, he said, the first thing I can tell you is you need to really like losing, because in fishing, you're going to lose a lot. But that's gonna mold you to be the angler that you're going to be someday. And he's very true. I mean, you don't win. The possibility of winning to losing in the fishing, it's a lot greater in the category you don't want it to go into. But I think that's what makes it so great. I think that's why more and more people want to get involved with it each year.
I agree with you. And it's an emotional high and low sport. When you win, it's the highest of highs, but most of the time you're struggling to get in there and make a check. So it's a great sport. It just, you have to use so many different tools to operate and compete at a high level. And that's really cool because there's so many different variables. So it's not like, that basket on the basketball court never moves. It's the same basket. It's there all the time. It's same thing with golf, and golf's extremely tough. I mean, every one of these sports, baseball, but they don't have the variables. It's really cool to see these professionals after they finish their career in these stick and ball sports, and they come over and go fishing because they like it. It's a neat deal that they like so much and just enjoy it. And some of them go on and try to be a professional fisherman. So it's neat to see that. It is a lot of variables, and you can do it. I take my granddaughter, 3 years old, fishing, and you can do it like Rick Clunn at 70, whatever, 1 or 2, and you can keep going. My roommate is Paul, and I think he's like 69 or right there. So he's right there, Paul Elias, and we all still compete. So you can compete in fishing for a long time, and it just makes it the most special sport out there.
It really is. It's kind of funny. I read a statistic recently where there's only about 4 to 5 guys on the Elite Series, maybe 5 or 6, that are actually older than Rick Clunn's professional fishing career. So it's great. And what an awesome opportunity we get as anglers to be a part of, and even in the hunting side, we get to do it for nearly our whole lifetime. Whereas in professional sports, football players, once you hit about 30, once you get about 10 years in, if you're lucky to be that long, you're on the cusp of retirement. And you have to walk away from the sport that you've basically devoted your life to. Whereas in fishing, we get to do it forever. I know for me, it's allowed for me to have career opportunities I didn't think I would ever be possible. I know, with Revital Outdoors, Kyle coming on board, it gives him the opportunity to do business in the industry, and he's really enjoyed it. And then to see someone like yourself, who you're a legendary angler, there's no argument about that. You've got to do it your whole life, and you still get to do it. So,
I still,
yeah. And I mean, the love for it. We have bad days in the water, but there's always that love and devotion to, you sleep it off and you want to go back out there the next day. So, for sure. So speaking on terms, you're been at this a long time. What does your off season kind of look like? Like, what do you do? I mean, when you're not dealing with surgery and the things that you've been dealing with this year, what does your off season look like? I know you say you like to do a lot of gator hunting, but do you do any kind of turkey or deer hunting, or like, how do you get ready for the next season?
We pretty much decompress once we get off the season. And so But yeah, I'm a big hunter. I'm a big bow hunter. Love that, and archery, whether it's deer or I killed a turkey with my bow, and so I love bow hunting, love archery. So that's been a passion of mine. Duck hunting, my son really, really, really got this passionate about duck hunting. So
there you go.
And anytime you're doing family sport deals, it's special, when you get to go. So my grandson, we gave him a shotgun, his first shotgun. Now he's 14 now, so we gave it to him at about, I'm going to say 12 for Christmas, and he started shooting. And fortunately, one of my son's best friends is a competitive shooter, so he's really, really, really good. And he said, before, my grandson's name is Bryce, he said, before Bryce starts shooting this thing, you need to bring him to the club and let me fit him and let me give him some tests, let him, kind of tutor him a little bit. So he shows up there shooting some sporting clays with this new shotgun, and he can't hit the broadside of a barn. And within maybe 5 to 7 minutes, all of a sudden he's puffing a clay here, and then he's puffing 2, and then he's like doing 7 or 8 in a row. And I'm like, dude, he's better than I am. He's just little spud shooting. And I'm like, that's crazy. So last year I got invited to go to the, how the duck season goes, where you have an early teal season, then you got a season, then you have a break for a week or two, and then you got the final season. And so at the opening day of the final season, we got invited to Louisiana and to hunt with a buddy of mine, Dennis TJ. And he's got a blind on his property, got like a where he raises crawfish, and he's
a crawfish farmer.
Yeah, rice field and all that. And so we get in there, and he's like, let's let Bryce have some fun. And that's just really cool when a guy does that. Duck season, ducks are prized, so when you can sit back and go, we want to watch a young man shoot some ducks, and let's see it. So we stuck him on the end of the blind. I'm next to him, then a friend of Dennis's, and then Dennis, and these ducks come in, and I'm telling you, Bryce shot him a limit by himself, probably in the first, 45 minutes or so, an hour. He walked them, and it was awesome because, we're not shooting at them, and they're coming in, and he's just boom, boom, and picking them up. We're like, yeah. And so he shot another limit the next day, and it was special. I mean, those are memories of a lifetime. And so, yeah, my off season, duck hunting, deer hunting,
gator hunting,
and gator hunting. Well, the gator season ends at the 1st of November, so we're out of that. But also, I love my saltwater fishing. So, I don't bass fish as much in the off season. During the off season, I'm saltwater fishing. And usually if I come home during the even during the season, I hook up the saltwater boat. We go scalloping. We go, just.
You ever go to the Steenhatchee?
Oh, yes. Been there many times at Steenhatchee, but normally I'm at the Crystal River area.
Crystal River area? Okay.
That's a good area.
We went to Steenhatchee, my family and I, with some friends for the first time, and we had a blast. I've never scalloped before, but it was a lot of fun. And then my wife and I, we typically I live, you know where Baker County is. It's north of Alachua County. You got, So that's where I was born and raised. And then my wife and I went to Houston for a little bit, and then we came back to Jacksonville. Now we're in Atlantic Beach, and I'm like 7 minutes from the Mayport boat ramp. So this is the first time I've ever had this close of access. So now in the afternoons, the tide's right, I'm taking the bass boat out there and going and hitting up these little creeks and even the jetties if it's fine. And I've just been slaying the reds and the trout, and I haven't figured out the flounder bite. Got the sheep's head pretty dialed in. But man, it has just been a blast. Plus all the fresh fish. Like, I'm really liking where we're at and this saltwater deal. Like,
the flounder fishing in your area is really, really good. But the red,
but I stink at it, Shaw. You have to come up and show me how to do it. I haven't figured it out yet.
I got one of my friends that I met when he was 13 years old. He wrote me a nice little fan letter, and when I fished, I think it was my very first Bassmaster Classic in 1986. He had written me a letter, and he was up in Chattanooga because it was on Chickamauga. And so he said, I'd love to meet you or whatever. And that's where his grandparents were from. So he was up there visiting. I said, hey, man, hop in the boat. We'll go fishing. and practice for the Classic. And back then you could do that. We can't do any of that now. They've eliminated all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so this young man has been a friend of mine since he was 13, and now he's, up there, and he has a boat detailing deal there at in Jacksonville. So he details all these big boats and
awesome.
such. But anyway, I went over there and filmed with him. It's Jason Watson. I went over and filmed with him doing a show on flounder, and we whacked him pretty good. It was a fun show. And so, yeah, he's got it dialed down. I may have him give you a call and give you some tips, because he loves his fishing.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's fun. So
that sounds like an amazing way to, go ahead. Sorry, Thune.
No, go ahead and finish.
I was just going to say that sounds like a really good way to decompress for the off season.
Yeah, I love it. So I love the outdoors. I mean, that's me. That's what we do. It's pretty sad when you think that kids nowadays, like when we were young, we didn't have computers. Heck, we didn't have TV. Okay. When I would watch, like the Beatles that were on the Ed Sullivan Show, I had to go to my neighbor's house in '63 to watch that. Okay. So everything we didn't have TVs. We didn't have this. So what are we doing? We're outdoors every day. As soon as you finish homework, you're out playing, you're climbing trees, you're building forts, you're outdoors. And so that's what we did. We would, hunt. My dad had a little camp. And so we'd go hunt, we'd fish, he'd make baits, we'd go saltwater fishing. He'd had a little 5-horse motor. He'd rent a boat and we'd go out there. And so that's what we did. There was no, going to a theme park. There was no all this kind of stuff. You were outdoors. We camped for our summer vacation and camp across the country. And then summer vacations became, we would go to Highlands, North Carolina, and fish the streams up there, and just had a blast catching rainbow trout and brooks, and just, it's a blast. So that's what we were growing up doing, and always doing stuff and physical. Now, most of what kids do are they're on a computer. And so they don't get that physical activity. And it's just so important to get outdoors, enjoy what's out there. And so that's what I keep trying to pass on to the younger generation is, man, there's so much going on outside your house and outside that computer. Get out there and enjoy it.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. So, well, speaking on terms of that, Kyle and I and everyone at Revital, we're very huge proponents of the outdoor industry and getting outdoors, very much outdoor enthusiasts ourselves. So with that being said, what was it like coming on with Revital Outdoors, and what are some of the products that you use, and how has it helped you as an angler, but just more so as an outdoorsman, and where, what's it like being on board with Revital, and what's it done for you?
Yeah. So I was at ICAST, and Marcus Parker came up, and we were in the Starbright booth in ICAST. For most of the people out there that may never know what that is, that's our big tackle show, outdoor show for fishing. And it's amazing. It's like you see all the new baits, all the new products, all the cool stuff. So I'm at the Starbright booth, and Marcus walks in and he's talking to people, and he says, "Shaw, you need to try this." And I said, "Well, what is it?" And he said, "It's CBD." And I said, "Well, I've tried 2 different types and they've never done anything for me." And, you do them they say, well, you need to do them for months. Well, I did them for 2 months plus. And so you spend the money, you do them, and they haven't done anything for me. So I was really, when you say skeptical, I was really skeptical. And he said, "Listen," he said, "you try this." And he gave me a bottle, a partial bottle, but he said, I was going to Champlain right after ICAST, we go up to New York, Champlain. So he said, "You take 2 of the gel caps, which are," and he said, "these are nano emulsified, and you're going to take 2 of those every day and take a gummy at night." And he said, "You do that and you'll know something within 3 to 5 days." And I went, "Huh?" And I said, "Well, I can do anything for 3 to 5 days if that's the truth." And it's not one of these month-long deals, and you're going to find out. So needless to say, I started taking them, and I go to Champlain, and I didn't take any of my steroids that I take every tournament. So I'm a heart patient. I had triple bypass, and taking, steroids is really bad for you being a heart patient. But it's a sports, drug that I've taken now for about maybe 15 years, 10 to 15 years, to be able to alleviate or be able to compete at a good level. And, I got bone on both thumbs. I've had shoulder surgeries, both shoulders. I had knee surgery, back surgeries, I've artificial hip. I mean, I put it this way. I jumped with the Golden Knights on the military, the Army jump team, that for parachute team. Anyway, and when he came out, you have to fill out a medical form and all that, and I had to write down all my surgeries and all my stuff. And when he comes out, he's calling people names out. He says, "Where's my bionic man?" And I went, "Uh-oh, that means that's me." So anyway, and I got to jump, which was really, really, really amazingly cool. So, but anyway, needless to say, that's how much I've had. So competing at a high level is not easy. But I'm gonna tell you, when I went through that tournament, I never touched anything, and I was like, "Oh, it's amazing." I mean,
and this is your thumb, like right in here, right? Like,
yeah,
you're bone on bone right here.
Exactly.
So you were saying that you even started cranking between which two fingers, because
I'd sometimes hold the handle between two fingers and doing that, and because it'll light you up. It feels like somebody put an ice pick, and a lot of people don't even know what ice picks are anymore, because we have all this ice coming out of our refrigerators. It can be chunked, chopped, whatever. So, but anyway, ice pick is just a steel pick that's a straight like a needle, except bigger. But it feels like you just stuck something like that in you and just grinding around. But anyway, yeah, it'll light you up to where you just can't do anything. And so, yeah, I had a lot of issues, and I just couldn't believe it. I said, this can't be. And I'm assuming, because I'm not a chemist or anything, but I'm assuming it's the nanoemulsification, where it's refined down to the point where your body can accept it rapidly. And so, I told Marcus, I can't believe it. It made a huge difference. And I knew it, and I knew it within that week.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, being nanoemulsified and then broad spectrum, you have more cannabinoids that is interacting with different parts of your body's endocannabinoid system. Really excellent at reducing that inflammation. The high bioavailability. It just, reduces inflammation throughout head to toe, not just in your hand. So if you're feeling it that well in your hand, all your other joints and knees and internal organs and everything else is also experiencing that same reduction in inflammation. You're just feeling this one the most, because that's the one that's got your nerves. Either you've got some nerve stuff going on there, or whatever.
I felt this one.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So that was the thing. I always was impressed that, because I immediately would go off the steroids immediately. I mean, I'd be on for that week of the tournament, then I'd go off. And anyway, but it always was cool when I take them. I said, man, I feel so much younger. Well, now you can do that all day, every day, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's just a natural plant oil. There's nothing that's impacting your liver, or, as you mentioned, steroids aren't the best thing to be taking for a heart patient. My dad is also he's a heart patient as well. He had triple bypass in 2016. So he's still on a lot of his regimen, but that's how he even got into this in the first place, was because dad also has lower back issues. He's got bulging discs in his lower back that push on his sciatic nerve, and that shoots nerve, not so much when he's standing, but when he lays down at night and gets horizontal, that nerve pain starts shooting through his feet and stuff. And so, the pharmaceuticals just weren't cutting it. And his younger brother introduced him to CBD, and then here we are a few years later.
So. Yeah, I've told everybody, I said, I'm 65. I said, getting old ain't for sissies. You better be tough as you're going to get old. That's all there is to it. And
on the flip side of that, you're in your 60s. You're doing something right. You've done something. I mean, you're still fishing. You're still active. Like, what would you tell high school anglers today? If you had to tell them, just any word of advice on how to take care of your body. If you want to be the next Rick Clunn or Shaw Grigsby or Paul Elias or one of the legends one day, like, what do you need to start paying attention to now?
Well,
Great
first
question.
of all, yeah, and that is a great question. And there's a couple aspects to it. And first off, definitely, workout, stay healthy, cardio, and all that kind of stuff. Plus, you don't have to bulk up. You don't have to be a weightlifter, but, a lot of reps with lightweight is actually great, and it keeps you healthy. And that's what you want to do. You want to stay healthy. You want to stay, where you can be injury free, but where your muscles can support the activity that you do. I mean, standing on your feet, you need your back to be in good shape. So, make sure you're exercising and keeping your back muscle strong, and your shoulders and your legs. All that works out. The other thing I do is I absolutely feel it's important to cover up from the sun. Okay, we get a lot of vitamin D being out, which is good, but you don't want the cancer. So I got a divot right here from a skin cancer. I've had the top of this ear cut off for skin cancer. I've had a few other whacked off here and there. But the point being is that cover up. So I wear a buff, which is actually I wear my Sims Sun Gator. And so I cover everything. I don't cover my big nose. So I just cover it with sunscreen. So every time I'm putting sunscreen across all of this, make sure your ears, I know my buddy had even inside his ear cut off. So when you're putting sunscreen on, if you're not covering's the best. But if you're not covering, make sure you even get inside your ear with sunscreen, and the tops and the back of your neck. Those things are real important. So, protect yourself from the sun, keep yourself healthy, and study the game, and just, man, it's just awesome. So yeah, that's the best way to keep going for years and years.
What about diet, life on the road, man? You spend so much time away from home. Like, I mean, I'm sure you're not going to McDonald's every night, or you wouldn't be fishing at 60 in your 60s, not competitively anyway. What
Hey, I still love my French fry, man. Every now
I
and
do
then.
too. Don't get me wrong, but I'm sure you've probably got some sort of something figured out regimen, how you eat healthy on the road.
Yes, we do a lot of grilled chicken and fish. Love fish, and so we try to stay healthy. Every now and then, you just push for time, and you've got to, you got to pick up something like a Burger King but usually if I'm going to a place, it's like Wendy's grilled chicken or Chick-fil-A grilled chicken or whatever. But I try to eat as healthy as we can. So that's kind of the big thing.
Gotcha.
Fantastic. So, well, speaking on terms of this, we do have the holiday. Today is December 7th, and we have the holiday sale going on right now. 25% off our entire site. It's going to last till Christmas Eve. This is the code right here, holiday. If you had to give 3 gift ideas from the products at Revital Outdoors for someone shopping for their favorite outdoors enthusiast, what would you recommend?
Well, the first one are those gel caps. They're incredible. The nano emulsified gel caps. They're my primary. So I would definitely get a bottle of that. I would get a gummy. That's my regimen. 2 a day and a gummy. In competition, you can go to 1 a day and a gummy if you're just hanging out and just going through life. And the other thing that's really cool, I ended up getting a bottle of these and trying them, and it's really neat, was the gel caps with the sleep aid in them. And
melatonin.
The melatonin. And my mom, and she's 95. Okay.
Wow.
And we gave some, she says, that really worked. And so, cause she has a tough time sleeping. So I got to have a bottle for her, so that's going to be kind of a Christmas present. And, but yeah, so those would be the ones that I'd say, right off the bat, they really work. I had a call this morning from a buddy of mine that's another fisherman, and he says, man, I just saw this that CDB products and or CBD, and he goes, what do you think? And I gave him exactly. I said, man, this stuff is for real. And, it doesn't have the THC. It's not going to light you up. You're not going to be lightheaded or goofy. And it's incredible. And so he said, well, I'm ordering it today. So he's ordering some too. And I told him about the 25% off right now. And, Black Friday was incredible, 35% off, but this one's awesome, especially for the holidays. And, so man, stock up.
Awesome.
For sure. Again, that sale's going on right now. It's going to last until Friday, December 24th. That's Christmas Eve. One last final thought, Shaw, going into 2022, obviously this is the time of year everyone's getting their jersey made, getting their boats rigged, getting everything in order, getting tackle orders made. What's a goal that you have, even at your age, as long as you've been doing this? And I think your career is going on over 3 decades. Am I correct? Probably bumping up to that 4 decades.
Right.
What's a goal that you have for yourself going into next year? Is it to win a tournament? Is it to just qualify for the championship? Is it to what is your goals for someone that, as an angler like you?
Yeah. So when I was younger, it was always, win a tournament and qualify for the classic, which for us is a red crest. And to me now, so back when I was fishing bass, I would make 1 or 2 or usually 2 and sometimes even more top 10s every year and make that final cut. And so I think my last classic was Houston, I think is what it was. And I've kind of fallen off the map, don't really understand age progression and mental things that happen to you. You have to keep going. So now, it's been reduced a little bit. I make cuts, but I want to make that final cut, that final 10 cut is what I want to make. If I win one, great. I know I can still do that. But that's one of the goals I have, but I definitely want to make the Red Crest, which is our big one. And it's huge. We're going to be at Tulsa this year. I think it's the end of March, towards the end of March. And it's going to be giant. And so, we as anglers started Major League Fishing and then ended up purchasing FLW Outdoors. So now we have this huge conglomerate of tournaments from, the weekends all the way through high school, college, and you name it, all of it. And so we have it all. And so, this is going to be a big deal. We have the largest media support of any organization, and the people have really embraced the Major League Fishing style. It's really it's exciting. It's the format is just so much more, because every fish counts. So it's not like you're going to win this thing, like I'm hands down. Sometimes we have a guy lap the field, but like Jacob Wheeler, who's just
I was going to say
phenomenal. Man, he's incredible. And there's 3 or 4 of those guys that are just really, really good. So occasionally you'll have a guy that's just kind of lapping the field, but most of the time it's like a NASCAR race. You're one fish. This guy catches one and he's dropping down, and this guy's catching one. And, so you don't know who's going to win until literally the clock ticks down. And we've actually had a guy catch one right at the a number of times where they caught one right at the end, and they move on to the next round because they catch that final fish, or they win a tournament because they catch that final fish in the last seconds. And it's an exciting thing. So Red Crest, we're building it and building it huge and big, and this is our first run at a true super deal. And I think what's going to be really cool about it is the access to the angler. So you have a little bit of access at the other event. This one is going to be major access with, the day after the tournament's over. I think tournament ends on like Saturday and Sunday. Everybody's still there. So you get to be, fan interaction the whole time. So it's going to be a great, great event. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, really looking forward to that event. Tulsa, Grand Lake. So Grand Lake in Grove, Oklahoma is originally where I'm from. So
Really?
I know Grand very, very well. It's going to be a phenomenal tournament. Tulsa's a great venue. We've had 2 Bassmaster Classics there, and just really looking forward to that event. And for everyone watching this and listening, we will be at Red Crest, Revital Outdoors. Come by and see us. Shaw Grigsby, I'm sure, will be in our booth. Come by and talk fishing with Shaw. And we're just really looking forward to 2022. Shaw, we're very fortunate to have you on board. And any last thoughts before we cut off?
Not really, man. I just appreciate you, and I am very proud to be a part of that. At first I sat back and I said, really, should I? And there's all this connotative meanings behind, the products. And I'm like, man, this is the best decision I've made forever. It truly is life-changing, and I appreciate it.
Awesome,
Yeah.
man. Well, we're humbled and excited to have you on board. I'm looking forward to 2022. It couldn't be better. So
Same here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Shaw, thank you for your time. We appreciate you coming on board. We hope to have you again as a guest on our podcast very soon. Good luck for the rest of your off season to 2022. We're looking forward to supporting you on the Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour, and go Gators.
Absolutely.
Chomp, chomp.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us on this podcast. Again, if you're interested in CBD from Revital Outdoors, you're an avid outdoor enthusiast, please check out our website, www.revitaloutdoors.com. Don't forget, we just mentioned the holiday giveaway or the holiday campaign that we're doing right now. 25% off your entire order from now until Friday, December 24th. That's Christmas Eve. Use the code HOLIDAY. I'm going to put it right here on the ticker right here for you. So thank you for joining us on this wonderful podcast that we featured with Revital Outdoors Pro Staff Angler Shaw Grigsby. Until then, be safe out in the outdoors, and God bless.